Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our weekly stock market brief. This is where we're doing analysis on the overall market, QQQ, S&P 500, as well as the 7 mega cap techs, Meta, Tesla, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Apple, and Nvidia. So we're looking at their support and resistance levels, as well as the most likely scenario where I think price might head to later next week. And so the question this week is, are we going to get more bounces? Is this all we're going to get on a relief bounce and more continuation on the downside? Or we're going to potentially head a little bit higher. So we'll be looking at different time frames as well as a couple of data to give us more clues to see how next week's going to shape up. So this is a heat map for pretty much this week. Really, we pretty much opened and closed near pretty much where we started Monday versus Friday. And you can see Apple's been down 9% this week, and pretty much Nvidia held up the market. Otherwise, we wouldn't probably been anywhere near where we are if Nvidia was also down 9% this week. So pretty much most of the mega cap techs are still in the red for this week. The Max 7s, we'll be looking at their chart as well real quick after this. You can see Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Apple all red except Nvidia. So are we going to get a continuation of the bounce coming in to them, or are they going to continue to lead us to the downside? We'll see more in the charts soon. And for AAPL and NVDA, we're still extremely bearish, right? This is the biggest read we ever had, and it's been the third week since it's continuing. And you can see how the bulls have just been 19%. Free green index is 21, so we're still pretty much in extreme fear overall, even after the Friday's bounce. So we'll have to see, is it going to continuation of the fear, or we might come back into a little bit into this fear and neutral zone in the upcoming couple weeks. So for earnings, not that much for me. Micron is semiconductor, so that's the only one that might move the semiconductor sector. That's important to me. Nike and FedEx will give us more into retails, a lot of Chinese names as well. That's reporting next week. As an economic calendar, we have FOMC meeting on Wednesday, so that's going to be a rate decision. It's going to be a rate hold. I don't think it's going to move the market that much, but the conference itself, when Jerome does his Q&A, that will probably move the market if anything spooks up. And other than that, not much data other than retail sales and initial jobless claims might move the market if it comes into a line. So we have a 98% rate hold for next week, Wednesday. So be eye watch on that. And as of May, we're still going to have a rate hold. So the first rate cut that we're going to get back again after a rate hold is going to be likely June, unless things shift a little bit overall, which can very quick. All right, cyclic charts. So QQQ, I'm on a 6-hour time frame at the moment. So currently, this is pretty much our first day that we really closed above the 6-hour EMA 12. You can see the very clear downtrend, right? Lower lows and lower highs. Lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, just continuation of a very, very, very clear downtrend. So we are not out of the woods yet, technically, because we didn't even close above Wednesday's high. So we got a big bounce on Friday, but bulls really did nothing in terms of the longer term chart for me at this given moment. And so we made a tiny bit of a lower low, although NASDAQ NQ didn't. So we got a big bounce. That's about it. So bare minimum for me, next week, at least break above this Wednesday's high, 481.5, right? Which is pretty much the low of this last Friday. Right? If we can get back above at least the bare minimum of the first structure, bull's really not going to go anywhere. If we can crack through above here, then I'm looking back closer to 488, then 493. If we break below here, there's just another bear flag on the daily. Just another bear flag. Breaking down, flag, crack below it. Although the first sign here, we did see that we got that lower low, no follow through. So that's usually the case. That is exhaustion on the downside when we get that no follow through. We crack the prior lows, get no follow through. So that's the first sign that we got. That's good for the bulls. And we're now back above 6-hour EMA 12. So what I want to see is we get a big enough bounce, and we do come back to back test these levels for EMA 12. I want to see that EMA 12 act as support and the prior resistance, I want to see active support as well. So let's say we crack above this 481.5, right? And the EMA 12 curls up like this, right? And we come back to test it. I want to see both of those active support and then bounce from that. So that's what I want to see. Structures built along the way up as bulls to give bulls more confidence to change the trend back to their favor. In that case, if that changes, then we have potentially back to test this level. I wouldn't have hopes that we're going to make new all-time highs, as we have a lot of volumes in dark pools traded in these levels. So really, I don't know if we can get back above here. Maybe something like this, new low, come back, the best back tested. For now, that's all just guessing. I don't want to be guessing here. I want to see. Let's just one step at a time, 1 week at a time, and see what price action reacts when we're back up here again in this zone. Another clue for us that they gave us that Friday was going to bounce was the semiconductors, right? So you can see semiconductors. We made that new low. Look at how well semiconductors hold that day. On Thursday, we made that new low, and semiconductors made a higher low. And on the big bounce Friday, we made the higher high. So semiconductor is the first of all in a 4-hour uptrend. And this sector is usually, you got hammered the most, of course. Right? You can see this big drop compared to NASDAQ even more. So 18% drop, obviously, it's the weakest. So we want to see these weakest names bounce first. And if we do see these bounces, it gives the market more confidence that the weaker names are bouncing, just like Tesla bounced too as well before the market bounced. So especially when the higher beta names bounces first, it gives market a little bit more of a kind of like a risk on feel to it. That's going to allow the bigger names to bounce. So let's take a look at SPY. So SPY, similar idea, right? Made that lower low right into this 551 zone, which is pretty much right the structures support. And same thing, didn't really bounce over it, right? We're still kind of flagging. This could be a rare flag for all we know at this moment. I wouldn't really count it because if this was a clear break below, like if all through Qs, it would look like NASDAQ didn't even break below. So another clue there to watch for. So same thing. Yes for yes is going to be 4-hour EMA 12 for me, right? Reject, reject, reject. Finally close above it. So if we get a big enough bounce, I want to see us bounce over 565, bare minimum, and potentially form a 4-hour uptrend with EMA 12 4-hour I can support. Otherwise, there's really no change. Absolute zero change in the chart, even with this bounce. This could be an inverse head and shoulders if we do start dropping again on Monday. But other than that, really no structural change in the overall market at this given moment. So let's take a look at the 7 mega cap techs to see if they are going to start to bounce soon so that the market can bounce even more. So let's go to Meta first. So Meta on the daily time frame, double bottom. That's a good sign. We didn't make a new low. And we peaked below it a tiny bit, but I call this double bottom. And even if we get like a potential head and shoulders bounce, right? Let's say we get which is kind of looking like this. If we negate it, we need to break above this 633.33, which is Wednesday's high. So if we want to negate this really tiny looking head and shoulders, head is really big, but the shoulder is really small. We need to break above this 633. Right, bulls play defense, right? They held the neckline pretty clear, like triple bottom neckline. Let's see if they can bounce here. Right, these lows are pretty much made out of these highs. We close above it on Friday, so it's a good sign. But the zero offense still, we need to break above this, these prior levels, these 633.33. We break above that, then I'm looking back close up to 644s. For me, Meta is daily EMA 12. So on a daily time frame, this tail looking line, which is EMA 12, is going to act as resistance, right? Reject, perfect, reject, reject, reject. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we come up to it, break above that, break above Wednesday's high, then we're starting to look for 644. For bears, super clear. Break these neckline low, then more downside. They're looking back down closer to a low of this structure, which would be around 568 for me first, if we can crack through this neckline. Yeah. All right, let's look at Tesla. So Tesla bounced first, even though it obviously dropped 15% on Monday. And then we came back to it. So this is looking, I don't want to say looking better because we've been dropping before the market even started dropping. So bear momentum for me, just break above this Wednesday's high, right? Give me a 4-hour uptrend. Then we can zoom out to the daily, right? Daily chart. Then we'd be like, okay, now we can look back close to this, around this 263. So break above Wednesday's high, looking back close to 263. Can break about 263. Then we look for 283. For bears, yeah, it's 12% away. Yeah, for bears, you guys want to crack below, obviously, Monday's low. But I don't know, it's tough because this Monday's low is kind of going off of this entire structures. You can see how the bottom volume here on the side here. This is where a lot of volume was traded in this zone. So bulls played defense there, and so far, not that much offense yet. But let's see if we can confirm that daily uptrend. If we can, then I'm looking for a weekly bounce. So if we can get a daily uptrend, then I'm looking for a weekly bounce. So we zoom out to the weekly. Let's just say it's a hypothetical weekly bear flag, right? From here, then we can look up potentially even in the 300. So give me the daily uptrend, then we get that weekly bounce on our way. Then we can scout even if this is a bear flag, right? It will potentially bounce near 300 zone. Then we can see how it trades up after that. All right, let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon on Thursday held its lows. That's good. So a lot of these mega cap names are actually holding its Monday's lows on the Thursday drop when we had made that lower low on the overall market, right? Market made a new low, lower low, and a lot of these mega cap names actually held it. The one that was dragging down the market was Apple. So, but the other ones actually held up. So, get things turning around. Maybe we get another bounce or two, and then we'll have to see from there. So, similar idea. You made a higher low here, right? Higher than the prior low. So, we call that a higher low. Now we want a higher high, meaning once break the prior high, which is the Wednesday's high. Similar idea to Meta and Amazon. Sorry, Meta. So, we want to break that higher high. Yeah, not a lot of reaction on EMA 12 other than this one just one time, so I won't use it for this. Let's see the 6 hour here. Yeah, 8 hours more clear. Right, 8 hour EMA 12. Reject, 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 reject. So you just want to use whichever time frame is the most picture perfect. Otherwise, if it doesn't reject, EMAs are kind of useless, in my opinion. So we rejected there again on Wednesday, and now we close right on it on Friday. So bare minimum break above here, right here, and break above Wednesday. We get that uptrend going. Then we're looking back up closer to this 210 for me. 200 going to be first, actually 204. 204, we break above Wednesday's high, and then 210. For bears, just break below Monday's low, continuation of the downtrend. Break below Monday's low, then there's a chance we come closer to 187. Let's see, Google. Google also held its Monday's low, but really no offense, zero at all. We actually broke above Thursday's high, and then we actually didn't even follow through with it. So still very, 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 very weak at the moment. Yeah. So you can see there's zero structure change. If Google can't even get above this little sideways action we had last week, um, it's really doing nothing, to be honest. Yeah. Ever the no bounces so far. So bare minimum for me, crack above this 168 and Wednesday's high, then we can actually try for it to break the high of this structure. If we can break above 173, then we can look back above 179, which is pretty big ass for me for Google, as it's been super weak. Yeah. For bears, it's cracked below Monday's low, and actually it's Tuesday's low. Yeah, actually, cracked below Tuesday's low, and we're looking down back below this structure, which is holding right now. See how it's holding the low of this structure? Below it, just this little nothing. So yeah, crack below that. We're looking down to the low of this 159 for me, for Google. All right, Microsoft holding trendline support. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Nice bounce on Thursday, last Tuesday. We got a big excuse me, got a big 5% bounce, and although we made a lower low, but we still ended up closing the week above it. So you zoom out to the weekly chart, right, time frame, it's still a valid trend line, right? Or wick came back close way above it. So let's see if Microsoft can give us something. Held nicely here. The Bulls defended 1, 2, 3, 4 days, and then played a little bit of offense here on Friday. But no change in charts again, still, right? This was a big bounce. No change in any kind of structure. Give it all back. Big bounce. No change in any kind of structure yet. So what I want to see is big enough bounce again. Come back to test this 400 and give me a confirmation of a trend change. At least a 4. You can call this a higher low, higher high, 4-hour trend change, but I wouldn't. It's just a double bottom. No signs of real change in the chart yet. So I want a big enough bounce. When we do pull back, I want to see a trend change on the 4-hour for me to be more confident that we're going to come back to test this red line on the daily, which is this prior support. It's very strong support, now acted as resistance right there before we broke down. So we can get a trend change back here. Then we're looking back up to 405, then potentially 415 again. Then we'll see. If that does happen, we're just looking at this big come back here, right? Market breaks down again on the weekly chart, then maybe we'll come down here. Okay. But for now, this is all supply at this moment, man. More than the Qs. So definitely a lot of supply here. So from here to 400 is not going to be that hard, but going above 400, we're starting to come back into these levels of pivot supply, right? All of these supply here zones. So coming to 415 is going to be a little bit harder. Anything above that, it's going to be a big ask. For bears, crack below this trend line, which is this week's low. And then we'll be looking down at this. If we can break through that, we're looking down at 371 and 366 if we can break this week's low for bears. All right, so bro dropped 9% this week. And this is that 1% bounce, 1.5% bounce this Friday. All right, let's take a look at if there any kind of supports along the way. No real support. This, excuse me, still acting as a little bit of supply here. So when we come up to it, right, and so we come back, so we bounce all the way up to 223. is this whole thing going to act at resistance now? We did slightly poke below here, right? But that was still just sideways consolidation, and we bounced from it. But now we broke through all of these pivots, right? So when we do come back up to it, question is, are all these going to act as resistance? So key watch on that. If we get all these big bounces coming in, right, and we backtest all these big structures, and then they all stack at resistance, that's going to just perfectly coincide with the market, right? Right. Take a look at the Qs. Big bounces on all of the big mega cap 7 names, and then backtest that. They're all their prior supply zones, and then reject. That's going to shape up something exactly like this, right? Big bounces, reject from all of them. Not saying we're going to make a lower low, but keep an eye watch on that. Maybe we'll make something like tiny range here. So be cautious of those moves. So let's see if how this bounce shapes up for Apple. Next thing we know, we cut through everything and go like this. Then okay, then market's fine, right? There are going to be no huge red flags at the moment, but so let's see how these bounces play out. All right, so let's look at the ticker that saved the market this week. So a huge bounce on Nvidia. So there's a couple levels of trend lines that we broke. So this is pretty much the first one. All these rejections here, reject, and we broke right through it on Tuesday. That was kind of like the first sign when we cracked through that, and you can see we cracked through when we kind of just went. We even broke down from this one as well, right? Reject, and then we broke through it. So that's a good sign for Nvidia. So next one I'm looking at, which is the key one, like the actual resistance, is this one. Zoom out to the daily time frame, right? Rejection, 1, 2, 3, 4, roll over. We are still 10% away from it, I think. Yeah, roughly 9%. So when we do come up back to here, key eye watching as well. So similar idea, right? If we bounce all the way back here, same thing I just drew from the market. Markets and bounce were similar back to that supply structure. Then we roll over, right? Versus same thing as all the other guys start rolling over again. Backtesting this entire structure, right? You can see this trend line is now coinciding with the low of this structure. So there is that setup where we do get that big bounce, and then the market rolls over again. So, but if we do bounce here and we get like just a chill consolidation, kind of like this, right? And then we blew through it. Okay, market is fine, right? No red flags for me. We start breaking all these pivots and then coming up here, right? Then it's then it's another 70%. Yeah, market will definitely hit all-time highs if we crack above all the way here. But that's just many weeks from now. So let's just see how it reacts when we do come up here, right? If we get something like this, big drop, and then come all the way here, and it holds, then we look for a tiny range. Maybe some, right? Then we'll see which way it wants to break. Which would coincide with this big move down, big move up, then we tighten up, right? And then that's another story. Market might go sideways and as well, continuing again. So a lot of scenarios that could happen at this given moment, but we do be very cautious when all these mega cap techs are back testing their pliers, the range of their supply zones, right? Very clear supply zones. Same thing in the market, very clear supply zone all the way up here. So when we do see that bounce, let's be cautious here. Overall, yeah. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment below. And if you guys want to learn more about technical analysis and how to read the price action of the market, if you would go check out that Patreon page. And if you guys just want to talk more about it and about what you guys want to learn, book that 15-minute free call. Link below. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for more commodities update. And have a great rest of you guys' weekend.